I think this is probably going to be the hidden gem of this anime season, because I know for a fact there's many watchers that started Punchline because Studio Mappa, they watched, 3 episodes, 5 to 6 episodes in, and they dropped it because it seemed like a standard fan service series. And the first half of this series is very misleading. This conclusion was a very strong conclusion I did not expect, and I don't think majority of us really expected this type of conclusion when it came to Punchline, especially with the death of our MC. This series, Punchline, has earned a lot of my respect for different reasons. For one thing, being able to have some really unique plot twists that really just threw me off my rockers. I was like, what the fuck, when I saw that ending. When you see Yuta die, when he dies at the end of this, it's a very sad moment, and I have to admit, I was really sad when I saw that moment when he passed on. Like, I was thinking there was going to be a way for him to be around, but he died. He was officially dead. He passed on. We kind of find out the other Yuta, the other spirit, he went into the past to set up all the events for the series, so everything kind of got answered when it came to this series, which is a very phenomenal feat. There is some things that were not answered, and I will get into those in a moment, but I just want to talk about everything else first. Punchline, like I said, I feel like everybody misjudged the series. Even I misjudged this series when I was at the halfway mark. I remember I was at the point of around episode 4 and 5 where I was about to drop this series. I want to be honest. I was very close to dropping this series around that point, but the only reason why I think I stuck with this series and I stayed with it until this point was probably because I knew the studio Mappa was attached onto the series, because Mappa has been making some quality series for the past couple seasons, and I didn't really want to see my expectations crushed like that, so I decided to stick with Punchline and see how it is for myself, and I'm glad I did. It was a very damn good decision for me to stick with Punchline to see this conclusion, because this is definitely going to be one of the best of this season. Hands down, definitely one of the best, especially with the way it was done. Now, in the terms of this finale, was I satisfied? I was satisfied, yes and no, for different reasons. I was satisfied with the conclusion, but I was also upset with some points of this conclusion. And I think majority of us can actually agree on, when it comes to this conclusion, there's one point I think that probably bugs majority of us, or maybe it just bugs me. It comes down to the cat. The cat has been a crucial character in this series since the beginning. He's been a major character that has reappeared constantly and helped out our MC Yuta throughout his journey until his, death towards this episode. This cat has helped him out. And with this conclusion, it really doesn't necessarily clear up or explain the role the cat really had to play. I mean, the cat was, helping Yuta, but at the end of the day, Yuta just needed to not listen to the cat and do his own thing, and that's how the timeline got saved. So what was the cat's real objective when it came to what it had to do? I mean, from what I got from this ending, this is what my assumption is. I'm most likely wrong, but this is my assumption because there was not really any clear-cut information what role the cat was really playing in this series and what his in-game ultimate goal was and why he was helping out Yuta. But from what I can assume, from just, piecing things together, is that the cat had a really good relationship with everybody at, the house, where they live at. He had a really good relationship, and eventually when the cat passed away, he probably became a spirit, went back to help Yuta. I'm assuming something like that happened, or a possible theory too, that cat is most likely Yuta. For instance, as we found out, Yuta goes back. He goes back into the past. And he sets up everything with Rabra, and he puts the fax machine and all sorts of stuff like that. He sets up the groundwork for this series. That's kind of what Yuta does. The disembodied spirit of Yuta, he goes back and sets that up. But what was really crazy about this, besides the setup, what does Yuta do after that? Is he stuck in an endless time loop where he's constantly doing that to every individual timeline? Or did Yuta come back to our timeline? Is the cat actually Yuta? I personally prefer that theory a whole lot more. I believe the way it was done, you could think of those two possible theories. Either the cat is Yuta, and it was just a different form of Yuta, he got reincarnated into that cat, or two, Yuta's stuck endlessly in that timeline, going back and forth into that timeline, and then the cat really doesn't have any explanation, just because it was, with everybody there, and it just loved him, and it decided to help out Yuta. One or the other happened there. So that is really the only issue I think I have with this series when it comes to the straight cold cut of things. Like, I think that's my really only major concern. There is a couple of issues through the series, like, some little, I guess, unanswered questions, or some things that kind of irks me when it comes to the character change at Grideko. But overall, I feel like, regardless of the flaws, like, some of the flaws that this series had, it was a very stunning conclusion I think majority of us did not expect. And I think it turned itself around, which is very punny, because, U-turn. It turned itself around from being a average to below average series that was kind of garbage. It turned itself around from something like that in the earlier parts of the series into something that became the hidden gem of spring 2015. And just for that ending alone, I would bump this series up 1 point just for, RMC Yuta dying. Just for Yuta dying and just seeing him die like he did and not coming back, kind of. I would bump this up just 1 point in my reviewing score just for that alone, because that was shocking. I didn't expect that. So, what would I rate Punchline? Like, what would I rate this series after what I have seen? Personally, being a critical reviewer, I know this series is nothing 10 out of 10 amazing. It's nothing 10 out of 10 amazing. It's nothing that is groundbreaking, because there has been characters that have sacrificed and died before at the ends of series, and the way this, I guess time stuff has been answered or done, it has been done before in other anime kind of similar to Steins Gate. But I feel like even though it has had its issues, I could rate this series a solid 7.7 or 7.75. I think that's what I could possibly rate this, or a 7.50, one or the other. I think that's what I would rate this series. I mean, just because it's 7 doesn't mean it's bad. It's like a very good average series. Like, that's exactly what Punchline is. It's not nothing 10 out of 10 amazing, but it's a way above average series that, definitely is worth looking into. If you can look through the 5 episodes, if you can make it through that, I feel like majority would probably find a very good show that they like, and I think that's what I could say for majority of everyone. So tell me your thoughts. This is the finale review of Punchline. Been quite the ride. I've had a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun reviewing this series. Hopefully you all had as much fun as I did when it came to reviewing this series. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.